it just became clear that Ukraine has launched a direct offensive against one of the most sensitive points in Russia's oil network in the Baltic Sea. In the early hours of March 23, the target was Primorsk, a terminal connected to Transneft in the Leningrad region. The attack caused fires in fuel storage tanks and disrupted operations in one of Russia's largest export corridors. Governor Alexander Drozdenko admitted that several storage tanks caught fire, and sources interviewed by Reuters reported a suspension of shipments in Primorsk and at that time also in Ust-Luga. So what happened was not an isolated attack. The attack was carried out by Ukraine as part of a well-known campaign of long-range strikes against Russian energy. This happened in Primorsk, in the Baltic, but also at other fuel infrastructure points, such as the Ufa refinery in Bashkortostan, whose attack was confirmed by Ukrainian military officials, according to Reuters. Since these were long-range attacks, the exact type of weapon used in Primorsk has not yet been independently confirmed publicly. But the result was clear: fire, shutdown, and immediate pressure on Russian logistics. Primorsk is not just any port. According to Reuters, it can export more than 1 million barrels per day and is a central outlet for Urals oil and Russian diesel. Ust-Luga, the other hub hit on this front, handled 32.9 million tons of oil products last year, while Primorsk shipped 16.8 million tons. This answers the most important question: why does this attack matter so much? When these points stop, the problem leaves the docks and affects money, storage, shipping, and the Kremlin's ability to respond. There is also one detail that increased the political impact of the incident. Satellite images released by Ukrainian outlets based on material from Radio Svoboda showed fires in at least 4 tanks at the terminal, while the initial Russian version reported much less damage. Even with the dispute over the narrative, the main fact remained: the port shut down, the fire gained international attention, and Primorsk's vulnerability was exposed. When and why did Ukraine do this? Now? The answer lies in the broader context of the war. Moscow has intensified recent attacks against Ukrainian cities. AP reported nearly 400 drones and several missiles in one of the largest waves in recent weeks, while the Ukrainian command spoke of heavy fighting in several areas along the front. At the same time, Zelensky told Reuters that Kyiv is using its long-range capability to keep pressure on Russia. Even more so after the temporary relief on purchases of Russian oil amid the war in the Middle East. This is where the reason becomes more straightforward. Ukraine is trying to reduce the flow of money that fuels the Russian military machine. According to Reuters calculations, recent attacks, combined with other bottlenecks, have taken at least 40% of Russia's oil export capacity offline. The agency described the situation as the most serious modern disruption in Russian supply, and Moscow is already rushing to redirect shipments, which shows that the damage is not symbolic, it is concrete, urgent, and affects the core of the war. After the damage in Ust-Luga, sources told Reuters that 4 major refineries in the European part of the country may be forced to reduce processing due to shipping bottlenecks. This threatens fuel production precisely at a time of higher demand. In short, an attack in the Baltic doesn't just affect exports, it puts pressure on internal logistics, affects refineries, and reduces the Russian government's room to maneuver. The Russian reaction shows the extent of the shock. On Thursday, Primorsk resumed shipping oil and fuel, but below normal levels due to the damage, while Ust-Luga remained under heavy pressure and Transneft tried to reorganize routes. This is important to maintain accuracy. Ukraine didn't wipe the Russian system off the map, but landed a blow that delayed shipments, spread uncertainty, and forced Moscow to patch up its export network in a hurry. In the end, the message of this offensive is simple and harsh. Ukraine didn't just attack storage tanks and concrete structures, it attacked revenue, export routes, supply pace, and operational confidence. And the blow comes in a week when Europe also stepped up pressure on the so-called Russian shadow fleet. The United Kingdom authorized its forces to board and detain ships used to circumvent sanctions, so the situation is one of pressure, both from within and from outside. Primorsk made headlines around the world because the attack hits, at the same time, Moscow's finances, logistics, and image of strength.